Mati Nair from St. John's Research Institute, India. I will now share the screen and yeah. So hope the presentation is visible to all.
Perfect.
Yes, thank you. So my talk is going to be about the two-way regulators context-specific role of miRNAs in breast cancer progression. So breast cancer is the leading cause of cancer death in women, and it has now usurped the title of the most frequently diagnosed cancer in India from a cervical cancer. Though referred to as a simple disease, it is quite complicated and it comprises of multiple clinical subtypes. Each of them has distinct clinical behaviors and they have to be treated specifically and distinctly. Over the past 2 decades, ever since the decoding of the human genome was performed, there has been tremendous progress in our understanding of the molecular biology of cancer. And the Cancer Genomic Atlas has made very good progress in, giving us detailed portraits of multiple cancer types, including breast cancer. And that has now made the therapeutic option termed precision medicine possible. So with this hope in mind, over the past decade, our group, our lab from St. John's Research Institute, part of St. John's National Academy of Health Sciences, Bangalore, India, we have initiated a study to follow 500 breast cancer patients for a period of 9 years, and we've been able to collect the clinical information from these breast cancer patients, including the type of tumor, their treatment approaches followed, and their response to treatment. In addition to this, we've also been able to characterize and analyze these tumors at the cellular and the molecular level, and the loss of follow-up rate of 4% is unmatched outside the clinical trial setting in India. So um, um, just a few years ago, the focus in cancer research was all about the malignant cell. But now it is a well accepted fact that tumor stroma plays an important role in actually modulating tumor progression and metastasis dissemination. The It is very important and critical to look at and decipher the various pathways involved in tumor stroma interactions, because they contribute towards cancer progression. And microRNAs are small regulatory RNA molecules that mediate this tumor stroma crosstalk. The microRNAs released from the tumor influence the stroma surrounding the tumor, and vice versa. Now, coming to endocrine resistance. So endocrine treatment has been very successful in the management of ER-positive breast cancer patients, but a lot of patients have resistance, endocrine resistance, and many of them with weaker ER expression tend to have a poorer prognosis. Now, there are multiple mechanisms behind this endocrine resistance in ER-positive breast cancer patients, and some of them include decreased dependency on ER-based signaling and microRNA, epigenetic microRNA-based silencing of ER functioning. So in this talk, I would be giving emphasis to one such microRNA, MIR18A, that modulates ER functioning and thus influences breast cancer progression. MIR18A is a microRNA that belongs to the MIR1792 polycistronic complex, and it is known to be an oncogenic miRNA in multiple cancer subtypes. So we have actually measured the transcript levels of this MIR18A in tumor samples from our cohort, and we observed that it was highly expressed in the ER negative subtype of breast cancer when compared to the luminal subtype. Now, within the luminal subtype, we observe that the high expression of MIR18A was positively, or MIR18A was highly expressed by those tumors which had the least expression of ER protein. And there was a negative association with between MIR18A transcript levels and ESR transcript levels and GATA3 transcript levels as well. GATA3 is a pioneer transcription factor in luminal tumors. When we analyzed and looked at the clinical features of these tumors, that is ER positive breast tumors with high expression or high levels of MIR18A, we observed that these tumors had a higher grade and a higher Ki67 index when compared to those tumors which had a lower expression of MIR18A. Then we were also able to prove that high levels of MIR18A was a poor prognostic factor in ER within ER positive samples. So we stratified the ER positive tumors in our cohort based on disease-free survival, and we saw that high levels of MIR18A was a poor prognostic indicator. And we were also able to validate this in a larger set of tumors, around 400 ER positive tumors from the Metabric cohort. And this made us very curious to actually go ahead and probe as to what is the molecular mechanism by which MIR18A is actually bringing out, or actually playing a poor prognostic role within ER positive samples. So we went ahead and we overexpressed MIR18A using synthetic mimics in ER positive breast cancer cell lines MCF7 and ISRA75-1. And on overexpression, we assayed for the levels, transcript levels of various target genes like CDK19 and DICER, and we saw that that was successfully repressed. We also looked at the protein levels of various targets like ER, TNF, AIP3, and we saw very good repression of these proteins as well, which are all targets of MIR18A. We also assayed for a non-specific target, that is a target of MIR21, just to see if there is any non-specific effect of overexpression. TGF beta levels did not do not change on MIR18A overexpression. So this confirmed the successful overexpression procedure in our cell lines. Then we went ahead to see the effect of high levels of MIR18A in these cell lines. So we assayed for the transcript levels of various ER and ER related genes, or other ER downstream genes, and genes that participate in ER related signaling over multiple time periods. And we saw that the levels of ESR, PR, GREB1 and TIF1 were all significantly repressed across multiple time points on overexpression of MIR18A. Further, we also looked for the protein levels of TIF1, which is actually a very important ER downstream protein. And we saw that there was a TIF1 repression happened up to 60%. And an interesting finding was the upregulated expression of cytokeratin 14. Now, basal cytokeratin 14 is a protein that is expressed by the basal type of breast cancers. And we saw that, and usually luminal cell lines do not express cytokeratin 14, and we saw that on an overexpression of MIR18A, cytokeratin 14 levels increased. Now, this intrigued us to probe for look for the proliferative ability of these cell lines. So proliferation assay showed that the cell lines where MIR18A was overexpressed had higher proliferative ability when compared to the negative control or the vehicle control cells. Now, this was very interesting because it showed us that on overexpression of MIR18A, there was a gradual shift from luminality to basality and an increase in proliferative ability, which is actually an indication of an increase in the aggression of these tumor cells. Next, we went on to assay for the levels of cadherin 1 or E-cadherin. The loss of E-cadherin is obviously, considered as a trigger point or a start point of EMT or epithelial to mesenchymal transition. We observed that E-cadherin, there was significant loss of E-cadherin in these cells on overexpression. And so you can see the immunofluorescence images here. And so we further then we looked at we performed migration assays to see the migratory ability of these cells, and we saw that on overexpression of Miratin A, the migratory ability increased. And the interesting finding was that we observed an increased single cell migration as opposed to a collective movement of cells, which is normally observed. So this intrigued us to probe further. So we went ahead and we did a microarray analysis of these cells wherein Miratin A was overexpressed. And the microarray results suggested an increased activation of the Wnt signaling pathway. Now, the Wnt signaling pathway are known to have two branches or divisions. One is a canonical pathway and the other is a non-canonical pathway. And uh, the microarray results suggested that Wnt11 and Wnt5b, which are active participants of the planar cell polarity branch of the Wnt pathway, they were upregulated. So that kind of gave an indication that it could be the planar cell polarity pathway that is activated in these cells. So we looked at the various partners or where the participants of the planar cell polarity pathway, the Dishevel protein, the RAC protein, the JNK in these cells. So when we looked at the levels of these participants of the planar cell polarity pathway, we observed that there was increased phosphorylation of a Disheveled protein, which is actually a kinase that kickstarts the planar cell polarity pathway. There was increased expression of RAC3. There was increased activation phosphorylation of phospho-CSAPK JNK. Now, JNK activation is actually linked to actin remodeling. So it is known that JNK, if it is activated, it would finally result in cytoskeletal rearrangement and actin remodeling. So we were curious to see the changes in the actin polymerization. So we actually what we did was we isolated the F-actin and the G-actin components separately, and we tried to quantify them. And we saw that on Miratin A overexpression in both MCF7 and IZRA75-1, there was increased accumulation of F-actin or an increased F-actin G-actin ratio, which shows that there was increased F-actin accumulation, which would eventually lead to actin remodeling and cell migration or movement. So this could be one of the possible mechanisms by which Miratin A or high levels of Miratin A activates the Wnt pathway to bring about actin remodeling and thereby cell migration, in increased cell migration in ER positive breast cancer. Now, the microarray results also suggested a global repression of immune related pathways. So we saw that there was suppression of immune related pathways like TAP binding, HLA regulated genes with antigen binding, interferon gamma related signaling, cytokine mediated signaling, response to cytokine mediated signaling. So all these pathways were observed to be suppressed in these cells which had high levels of Miratin A, which was an indication of immunosuppression. So we were interested to probe this further. And what we did was we actually took the TCGA and the Metabric cohort, and we divided the samples. So we took the ER positive samples and they were stratified based on the expression of Miratin A, and the high Miratin A expressing samples were taken ahead and compared to the low Miratin A expressing samples. And we always use a very stringent third quartile cutoff to actually stratify this so that we can actually see the biology. And we saw that in TCGA and Metabric tumors, the ER positive tumors with high Miratin A had a higher proportion of resting macrophages, higher proportion of T regulatory cells, resting natural killer cells, and a higher CD4 CD8 ratio. Now this was also so this was done using the CyberSort algorithm, and we've also used other softwares to like Immune Cell AI to validate the same, and we are actually seeing consistent results. So we've seen that there is a higher CD4 CD8 ratio, which itself is a marker for poor prognosis in breast cancer. We also know that higher proportion of T regulatory cells is actually a marker of poor prognosis, and the tumors do badly in breast cancer. And then we've done further in vitro experiments, which I've not shown here because they're under review now. So the in vitro experiments actually showed us that these Miratina overexpressing cells are actually able to convert the M0 macrophages into the M2 phenotype, which is the tumor promoting M2 phenotype. So in short, it is actually a mechanism. So high levels of Miratina activates the Wnt pathway to enable cells to migrate better, and it also brings about immune suppression that will help these tumor cells evade the immune system. So this was about ER positive breast cancer. And as I mentioned earlier, we were also intrigued to look at ER negative breast cancer where Miratina is highly expressed. So we took the Miratina we took the ER negative samples from our cohort, and we looked at the Miratina levels. And we tried to correlate it with the Ki67 index. And we saw that Miratina high tumors had a higher Ki67 index, and we have derived a proliferation probability score using our tumor samples using 4 proliferation associated genes, that is FOXM1, UB2C, BERK5, and ANLN. And we've seen that these tumors which have high Miratina have a higher proliferation probability score. So these results are quite consistent with what we saw in ER positive tumors, where we see that high Miratina actually drives higher proliferation. And then we actually took these tumors, and we in TCG and Metabric, we took the Miratina low tumors, and we saw that the Miratina low tumors had a higher expression of luminal associated genes and lower levels of basality associated genes like FOXC1, still ANL and keratin 17, etc. And they had a higher expression of luminal associated or ER driven genes like ER for XBP, TIF1, GATA3, FOXA1, etc. So this probe does to look at Miratina low samples in ER negative tumors, though they had a lower proliferation and though they were associated with a lower Ki67 index. So when we looked at the expression levels of various EMT related genes and genes that are associated with drug resistance, we observed that the Miratina low tumors had a higher expression of EMT related genes like ZEB1 and ZEB2, which are master regulators of EMT, integrins, integrin beta 6, which is actually considered as a poor prognostic marker in breast cancer that is involved in migration, integrin beta 3 and beta 5, again involved in invasion and metastasis, and the drug transporter genes, and were all upregulated in the Miratina low tumors. And as consistent with the results that we observed in our cohort, we saw that the proliferation associated genes were down regulated, and but the genes that code for MMPs were all highly upregulated. So to conclude my talk, our data supports the role of Miratina as an independent prognostic marker in ER positive breast cancer, and it aids tumor invasion in ER positive tumors by activating the Wnt pathway and bringing about changes in cell polarity. We also report for the first time an association of Wnt mediated signaling and stromal immune modulation brought about by the high levels of Miratina in ER positive tumors. And these results are very very important because it highlights the importance of developing specific Wnt pathway inhibitors that can be used along with immune checkpoint blockers for sensitizing these tumors to immunotherapy. In ER positive tumors, high levels of Miratin A are associated with an EMT, increased migratory ability and poor prognosis. On the contrary, in ER negative tumors, low levels of Miratin A is actually associated with a lower level of lower rate of proliferation, but higher migratory ability and activation of signaling pathways necessary for an epithelial to mesenchymal transition. So the in vitro results are in vitro experiments also support the same, and again those have been submitted for review. And the dysregulated miRNAs in cancer appear to be very context specific, and we provide evidence for Miratin A having a dual role in both tumor promotion and suppression depending on the cellular environment in which they are expressed. I would like to thank ICMR, the Indian Council of Medical Research, for the Young Scientist grant that has enabled me to investigate the role of Miratin A in regulating metastatic progression in breast cancer. I'd like to thank all my lab members and Dr. Rakesh from St. John's Hospital, Dr. Srinath from Sri Shankara Cancer Hospital, and Dr. Jolly from Indian Institute of Science. For they're all my collaborators, and thank you for the support. Thank you.
So thanks a lot for your talk. And there's the first question from in the chat. And so the question is, do you know which miRNA are targeted by your miRNA?
Yes.
mRNA, sorry. mRNA, sorry. One I too much.
Yes, so we do know that. So by using target scan databases, we've been able to, actually list down various targets of the miRNA that we are specifically looking at, which is Mir18A. And we have a list of at least, it's a laundry list, but then we have very specifically chosen the very, highly, targeted targets of this miRNA. So we have a list of around 20, and ER is a very specific target of this microRNA, and it binds to the 3-UTR and then directly represses ER. And TNF-AIP3 is another target. We've shown that that is also repressed. And there are quite a few other targets also which we have shortlisted, and we've seen that they are also repressed by this miRNA.
Thanks. So I have a question about the cytokeratin 14. So how do you explain that an intermediate filament is upregulated, because this is specific for epithelial cells, and in parallel you have markers for EMT. So this is a little bit of an does not really fit to each other. So how do you explain what is the specific role of the cytokeratin 14?
Yeah, so what we normally see in our what is normally seen in breast cancer is that cytokeratin 14 is expressed. It's like a marker for basal-like or the ER negative tumors, which are generally more aggressive than the ER positive tumors. And we have a set of cytokeratins which is exclusively expressed by the ER positive tumors, like cytokeratin 8, 18, etc. And so which is, so what we saw is that when Miratin A is not, so when we do not express Miratin A, these luminal cytokeratins are expressed by the cell lines, and on overexpression, we see that it, actually starts expressing cytokeratins which are normally expressed by the aggressive type of breast cancer. So it could actually, so it's actually a marker for understanding the distinct clinical phenotype, but I think it has roles in probably helping the cells undergo the transition, the epithelial to mesenchymal transition, and because of which we are actually seeing more markers. We are seeing the expression of more migratory markers, and it could be this could be the explanation for it.
But when you have an upregulation of an intermediate filament, which is specific for epithelial cells, then the cells are not in transition. Because cytokeratin is not an intermediate filament of mesenchymal cells. It's specific for epithelial cells. So is there a specific biology behind this? So what is the specific biology of cytokeratin 14? So why does it behave different to cytokeratin 8?
Okay, so it could be because of the cytokeratin expression is also very specific to the origin of these cells, and the luminal breast cancer, they are supposed to be originating from the luminal normal luminal cells of the breast, whereas we know that the basal breast cancer, they have a very myoepithelial origin. So it could be very specific to the origin also, and this transition could be could be associated with the increased aggression and proliferation that these cells have, the basal-like.
But then you have a transition from luminal to basal and not from epithelial to mesenchymal.
Yes.
So
yes,
because this is completely different.
Yes.
So then I wouldn't use the term epithelial mesenchymal transition, because when you have an upregulation of an cytokeratin, then the cells does not go EMT.
Yes, that's right. So we have, so what we are saying is that there's a transition from luminal to basal, but we have not been able to prove that it is entirely mesenchymal at all. We've just seen that there is loss of E-cadherin, which is like a trigger point, a start point, and cells are not yet into EMT at that point of time. There's just, the cells to cell contact breaks at that point of time when E-cadherin loss is there. So we've just been able to prove that. So definitely it's not that cells are completely mesenchymal. Yes,
because this is very, very interesting that you can switch from a luminal to a triple negative basal phenotype by manipulating this RNA.
Yes.
So then you really should focus, this is my opinion, on this part, that you switch between the subtypes, and this is really, really, really interesting. So because of the time, so